guys, Joe here. So hopefully this audio is better than normal because I thought that by wearing my Bluetooth headset, my iPhone would be using that Bluetooth or that the headset for that. And then I was like, why every time I go over bump, it sounds like my phone's hitting on something. And then I found out that iPhone decides not to record videos with the Bluetooth thing. So anyway, I'm using it's called Hollyland, in case you care, for your videos and whatnot. So it's kind of convenient. So that way, it comes with two devices. You can actually hook it into to your iPhone with an adapter. You can hook it into your laptop, stuff like that. Because I had to look into it a little bit more because I said I was going to do this for a while now and just never did. But I'm actually doing some group coaching now. So I basically just sent out an email. It's going to be Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 11. It's going to be in person. I'm also trying to find out a way to basically do everything online as well. So that way, if people are further away, my target customers, or even people across the country, you can join in as well. It will be Eastern time. And so I'm trying to figure that out. But like in my typical fashion, I started looking at, I'm like, well, I got to get a camera. I have a camera. And then I'm like, how do I hook that up? But then these Mevos, MEVO from Logitech showed up. And I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. But that's like, for three cameras, be like $1,000. But there's like this whole interface. It's supposed to be simple to use. I'm like, this will be perfect because then I'm gonna have the different camera angles. One on me when I'm talking, and then switch over to someone else when they're talking. But then I'm like, my wife's just gonna yell at me, so I'll figure out a not to do that. So there's that. So yeah, Monday or Tuesdays, 9 to 11. What are we gonna cover? Really, it's going to be whoever comes in, whatever questions they have. Of course, I'm going to be answering that kind of stuff. And then also, if basically no one has questions, or like all the questions are answered at that point, what I'll end up doing is I can basically rant on about like whatever, because pretty much every video, if you can't tell, there's no thought process behind it. It's legit just me, like random ideas that pop up into my head, and then I just start running with that. So, not that I am an expert in everything and not that I know everything, but I feel as though I am very knowledgeable in a few different topics, such as number one, generating leads for your business. I had defense installation company that we sold, and I am able to generate, or I was able to generate like thousands of leads a year. A lot of that through was Google My Business, but it was also Google Ads and things like that. And then we can also talk about things such as mindset. I think that's one of the biggest things that people they don't really spend a lot of time thinking about. And the mindset, if your mindset's screwed up, then it makes things really difficult, in my opinion, because the way I look at it, could be wrong, I don't think I am, is that, equated to people that win the lottery. So if someone's like dirt broke, because that's pretty much, not pretty much, but a vast majority of people that are playing the lottery is because they're in a bad financial situation, right? And so, if they're used to making, 30 grand a year or whatever it happens to be, if they win like $50 million, $100 million, or some kind of, the guy that won $1 billion or whatever the hell it was, within a few years, and obviously if you win $1 billion, it's going to take a little bit longer. But most of the people, if they only win like only, $5, $10 million, they will find a way in 5 years to, not intentionally, but they will be broke. They'll basically go back to their original level within like 5 years. And why is that? And it's because of their thermostat, what their brain is, set to, right? So with a thermostat, for your house, if it's set to 70, if it gets sunny out and it starts getting warmer, well, the air kicks on and it, starts dropping the temperature. Now, on the flip side, if it's set for 70 and it's super cold out, and so the heater kicks on and it gets it back to that. So, and a lot of times what I see is that people with a lot of, you know, potential, I see it with, employees and stuff like that. The people with the highest potential, a lot of times, that are coming to me because of the, we're just not at their level at this point, is that they will they'll start at one place and they'll keep going and going and going, and they just keep rising and rising and rising, getting better and better and better. And then every time they end up screwing themselves in some sort of way. And it's always like it's out of nowhere, but like I just see it coming, right? And like I talk to these individuals, that are working for me and stuff like that, and I am saying this, and I'm like, does it seem like every time like everything's going your way, like something always happens and it drags you back? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, it's your thermostat. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, whatever. And I try to talk through it, but it doesn't always work because their thermostat's fucked up and they are deciding to be who they are, right? So anyway, mindset. Um, the other thing is lead nurturing. So that's usually like email marketing and things like that. Most of the contractors have no clue about this kind of stuff. And what ends up happening is, the way I explain it is that, like, how long does it take from the time that the person initially contacts you till they give you the go ahead to install, right? And or that they want to book the job. And a lot of times, most of them are saying, anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. But that's the people that are actually moving forward. What about all the other people, right? And we've seen it with my own fence company that it could take weeks, could take months, could take a year, right? And so with email marketing, you have that way to kind of keep like, and it's the work up front, but after that, it's like on autopilot, that you're able to build a relationship and answer questions and be able to become the expert, right? And what ends up happening is you're able to book more jobs and you're able to book them at higher pricing. The other thing, talk about pricing, right? So that's where we're kind of going to the mindset of the business as far as, do you want, everyone's like, I want to book more jobs and I need more leads, right? Well, you don't really need, a lot of times, they don't need to book more jobs. They need to charge higher pricing. Because if you're only doing, just say you're only doing 3 jobs a week on average, right? Throughout the year. Maybe in the springtime you're busier, but that's 150 jobs for the year. Now, if your average job is just say $5,000 and you're making $1,000 from it, you're making $150,000 in profit, and then that's where you got to take out all your expenses and all this other shit, right? Well, if you still were charging $5,000 instead of charging 5,000, if you go and charge 5,500 instead, what ends up happening is you end up making an extra $75,000 in profit. That's an extra 50%, right? So you don't need to book more jobs, right? Because if you end up having to book more jobs, what's that going to do as far as, you might already be maxed out time wise? You're already working 50, 60 hours a week, and you're like, I need to book more jobs. Well, that means you're probably going to end up having to hire someone, or you're doing all the shit yourself, and then you're not able to spend time with your family. So anyway, there's a lot of different mindset stuff. Honestly, that's probably what the most help I can honestly offer, besides lead generation. I will be the first one to tell you, I suck at selling, right? And for what we did with our business. And honestly, it was probably because I was trying to reinvent the wheel and all this other kind of shit, but whatever. But I could probably help with some of that stuff. I know what to do, but as far as me actually doing it, I think there's like a mental block, right? So there's that. Like I said, I'm going to try to get this thing online for you guys as well. Ideally, I'd love to have it live so that way anyone can join. And then the cool part is that this month we are raffling off a Little Beaver auger. So I don't know if I talked about this yet. I probably did, but it is used. I think we have 3 of them. So I bought them used. I spent like anywhere from 1,000 to 1,400. I spent another few hundred getting these things up and running, making sure they were 100%. And then we started renting them out, and people were just fucking them up. So I stopped doing that because it was honestly frustrating, because we don't have a mechanic. I'm not a mechanic, and I didn't have one on my team, so it was kind of like a pain in the ass, and I didn't want to spend time on it, so we didn't do that. So anyway, we're gonna give one away for the month of January. And basically, all you should do is stop in and drop off a business card. You can do that once a week to get entered in. So you can come in for this free coaching and then do that, and then get entered in for the raffle. And then every $500 that you spend with the company for the month of January, I pull a report at the end of the month. If you spent, $10,000, you get 20 raffle tickets. So then there's your chance to win that. Last month, we actually gave two 75-inch TVs away. One was for our contractors, and then one was for everyone that ended up donating $5 to get a raffle ticket. This time around, I'm just doing for the contractors, and I think that's about it. A lot of good shit happening, good progress. If you have heard any of the videos, if I kind of talked about it, I've been spending a lot of time visualizing what my new warehouse is going to look like and what that is, how the business is going to run and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I talked about it last video. But basically, the one warehouse is going to be 150 by 350 feet. So it's roughly, I don't know, it's like 52,000 square foot. It's going to be 24 foot tall. So it's about 20 feet of usable space on the inside. And so actually this morning I was doing the visualization, which I really should post the videos that I listen to and audios that I listen to. But then I was really thinking about how people are doing like their pickups when we're loading people on the trucks and trailers and stuff like that. So I've been focusing on that and like how I want these overhangs so we're out of the weather. And first I was doing like a 20-foot overhang, but as I'm doing this visualization, I'm like, do we really want to do that? Because then I'm like, maybe, which makes sense, is I think we're going to start with that, with that one warehouse. But then I definitely want to have enough space because I feel like we're going to do a space about 40 feet away from that building, roughly maybe 60 feet, something like that. Whereas it's going to be another warehouse of 150 by 350. And then that is actually going to house the materials that are already, the orders that are already built, packed, and all that kind of stuff, along with storing materials as they come off the truck. So that way we have enough storage space. And then we're going to end up having that in where I have basically a roof or an overhang between the two buildings. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I know it sounds like crazy. I don't know if I posted the other video because honestly, the one part that I said was kind of like inappropriate between me and my wife, so I won't go through that because I told my sales rep and then he said something to my wife and then she's not happy with me. But anyway, I'm playing this game called Pass the Pigs with my son yesterday. It's basically a dice rolling game, and for the hell of it, like we get like really into it. And so I started visualizing, I forget what it is, but basically they're literally like the dice are kind of like actual pigs, right? And so I visualized two of them on their back, which that's 20 points. That's pretty good. And I spent about a good minute like visualizing it. And it could be coincidence, but I rolled it, right? I tried it a few more times, but it didn't work. But like the fact that it did the first time, it's pretty weird. A lot of shit's happening. So I'm excited because I just see this warehouse. I've been really focusing on the warehouse, the layout of the warehouse, along with like the retail sector or the section of that, what that's all going to look like. And today, actually, because normally I had it the one way, but today I ended up visualizing it the other way. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. So anyway, sounds crazy, I know, but here we are. Don't forget, like every Friday we also do pizza, or I'm sorry, food. This week we had pizza. My wife ordered so much pizza, it was ridiculous. They had like a Mexican, like almost like a taco pizza that was. They didn't get it with steak, so next time we're gonna do it with steak with the salsa verde, with some like the raw onions and then the cilantro. But it smelled frigging amazing. But they did it with pork, and I don't eat pork. So anyway, hopefully this audio came out better than before. Because if not, I don't know what else to do. But here we are. If you, that's about it. Oh, if you're not on my email list, you might want to get on there. So if you do want to, I also am testing out a new landing page for my website, so you might want to check that out as well. I'll probably put the link in the description, and it'll probably be a way to sign up for emails and shit like that as well. But there's a few that go out a week. So it basically talks about business and stuff like that and how I can help and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, talk to you guys soon and have a great weekend.